And yes, we are going to record the meeting. So in case you miss anything, please feel free to hop on our YouTube page and check it out. We'll be posting this and we have other sessions posted as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome. See a couple other people hopped on. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited for our last session in our small business series called Know Your Rights. I see Mr. McDonald has switched up the title, but that's okay. Know Your Rights in Broward County Procurement, in essence, is the topic that we'll be talking about tonight. And really happy to have our speaker here with us. My name is Shahiwa Jarrett Gallon, the founder of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. And all year long, we've hosted this small business series, kind of honing in on things we feel that our small business owners should know. Obviously, at the top of the year, we started with some tax tips, talked about strategic planning in March, and then we're ending it with this Know Your Rights session with regard to Broward County procurement and opportunities, because of course, we want you all to set your sights on preparing yourself to contract with the county. And therefore, you need to know what that entails. You need to know how you're protected in the process. And so we have a wonderful speaker here tonight, someone who has been pretty active and a good supporter of the chamber. So we're really excited to have Mr. Sandy Michael McDonald with us here tonight. Good evening, Mr. McDonald.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. So I'm gonna try not to be looking crazy because they got my camera here, but this screen. So I'm always trying to look at you guys. So good evening. Shahiwa, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for actually encouraging us to not only be a part of your series and to do this session, but from this session, I'm gonna take it and create a boot camp.
Okay.
That I'm gonna try to get around the county. I mean, in small pockets, and I'm serious. When I say I'll even go, and I'm not going to be biblical, you know, with 2 or 3 gather, but if 4 or 5 people together and they want us to come, I will come and bring this because it's truly important in terms of really understanding the program and knowing your rights. And it is a title we're trying to play with because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to call the boot camp.
Right.
But knowing your rights is important significantly. But knowing your rights simply means, which I'm going to walk through the night, like a 6th grader. I'm gonna be extremely professional. From time to time, you'll be able to tell that I was born 16 miles outside Detroit. So not completely hood, but I'm familiar.
I'm done.
You done? I just want to make sure we get this because folks, I'm gonna tell you, and you're in private industry, all of you. If you really understand, just like sports, when you know the rules, you can play the game.
Yes.
Mess around and know the rules and have some real talent.
Right.
Take over the game. My job is to make sure you really know the rules because they work. Now, you mess around and have real talent and you know the rules, they can't stop you when you're seeking opportunities. They can't stop you when you're submitting bids. They can't stop you when you're presenting your bid. They can't stop you when you win a contract. And because of that, you should end up with multiples. So at the end of the day, if Broward County government, as your example, as your test model, is something you have interest, and this includes some of you who may have been certified for years. If you're really willing to learn and understand the game and let us put in front of you the rules, the advocacy, and the support, guys, you can win. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to act like it's easy, but trust me, this leveraging is real. So with that, Shahiwa, again, put your questions down in the chat. I am going to try to get through this quick enough to entertain any questions. And let me say this right off the bat. This can be a good session, bad session, or whatever. but each of you have the opportunity, if you so choose, email this office, call this office, and you and I can do a one-on-one over this, over your past issues, over concerns, over clarity, or just the idea how to really engage the process, maybe even more than what I'm going to share tonight. So I need you to know that whether it's 16 or 61 listening, you all have the right to call here or email here and schedule an appointment, and you and I can do a one-on-one.
Well, Sandy, I know, as everyone can see, you're super passionate about what you do. So as you prepare to educate, I do want everyone to know a little bit about the educator, okay? So give me a minute. You already told everybody where you're from. So you stole a little bit of my thunder, but I do want them to know a little bit about your background, and then you can jump right into the presentations, and I'll man the chat. Sandy Michael McDonald is the current director of the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and has been since June of 2023. In alignment with OESBD's mission to stimulate economic growth, he is committed to supporting the growth and development of small businesses in Broward, which are a great asset to our local community, as you all know. In his current role, Mr. McDonald serves as the Broward's designated disadvantaged business enterprise liaison officer and works to support the county's commitment to the federal disadvantaged business enterprise program, as well as the ACDBE programs, which OESBD administers, along with the county small business programs. So I'm sure you all know about the CBE and SBE program. And if you don't, you're not going to leave today without knowing. In coordination with other officials, Mr. McDonald champions opportunities for small businesses through the agency's multiple lines of services, including certification, contract monitoring, compliance, import-export assistance, and outreach and training. So everybody, let's give a warm welcome or, virtual hand clap for our speaker, Mr. Sandy Michael McDonald. And with that, you can take it away.
Okay, thank you. So we can get off that slide and you can go to your next or your first slide.
Surely will. Go. Can you see it?
No, ma'am, not yet.
No, I'm looking at it.
Oh, you looking?
Yeah, it says I'm sharing. Can everybody see the about OESBD slide? No. Let me stop sharing and reshare maybe. Maybe that'll do it. I'll stop sharing and then I'll go back.
Oh, there you go.
Can you see it now? Okay, this is the second slide.
Okay, that's cool. That's the second slide. So guys and girls, there's my email address. And I did put my email address and the phone number in the chat. So we'll keep this moving. I'll give that several times. So that's just a quick slide about who we are as an office. The main thing you should know about that slide, we are a service agency. And what does that mean for you as a small business? Broward County agencies, Airport, Port Everglades, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Parks and Rec, libraries, Government East, Government West, Broward County Transit, roads. No one buys anything without us seeing first what they're considering to buy, and then we get to apply the ordinance. The reason why, as a service agency, we work with our partners, I need to make sure small business understands. It starts with us before it ever becomes a solicitation. So you need to know that. Next slide. And again, it's not made up. We didn't just 10 years ago when I got here decided let's do A, B, and C. It's always been a part of the county's vision, mission, and goals as established by the county commissioners. So these are those goals as established by the commissioners. And as you can see, economic opportunity is one of those goals. Next slide, please. And this is your key. What is the Business Opportunity Act, BOA? So at the end of the day, if you were to click that Business Opportunity Act, and Shaiva can certainly make this PowerPoint available to all of you, but you want to be able to click that BOA one day, and I got it on another slide at the end, because you want to know the Business Opportunity Act. It's the law. It's the ordinance that establishes the program it makes sure that everything that eventually finds its way in solicitation, it comes via the program. It's supposed to be designed to create opportunities, to create pathways, to do carve-outs, and when necessary, to enforce what is established by this ordinance through county agencies and prime contractors who win contracts. So what I tell my small businesses, if you don't know anything else, if you can't put your hand on anything else, I need all of you to make sure you got access. You don't have to memorize it, but you need to know where you can always go and find the Business Opportunity Act. It explains the program. It defines SBE, Small Business Enterprise, CBE, County Business Enterprise. It defines shelters. It defines carve-outs. It defines CBE goals. It defines CBE reserves. So you don't even know what you're dabbling with if you don't know the BOA. And again, the BOA supports you when my office is calling to check to see if you can provide a service. The BOA protects you if a prime is looking to work with you and they offer you something one day, and after they win the contract, they change their mind. If you know the BOA, you know they can't do that. You know whatever they submit, if they are awarded, they must continue to follow. The BOA is that same document that if they promise to use you and don't use you, it tells you how to raise the process. The BOA is also the document that doesn't allow them or my county agencies to terminate you or substitute you without notification to us first. You can't be fired without someone telling me they're planning to fire you. You can't be substituted without someone telling you that they're planning to substitute. The BOA, the Business Opportunity Act, has all your devil in the detail to make sure you understand your rights as a certified firm, as a small business bidding, and as a small business winning a contract, exactly what to expect from the county and or the prime contractor in case you're a sub. So this is the emphasis. I need to make sure you recognize that you can find the BOA, not trying to drive you crazy. Those of you familiar with government, you can always just search the Muni codes. You know, that's municipal codes. Click on Florida, click on Broward, and this is Division 6. But technically, when we send you this PowerPoint, you can just hit Control and double click, and it'll show up. On the last page, the same thing. I needed to make sure without a whole bunch of searching, you all have access to the BOA. This is what tonight is all about, the Business Opportunity Act. Next slide. And this is why. Here's a little bit of Broward's history. Again, our Madam President told you, I've only been here 10 years. June of 2013 to right now, which happens to be November of 2023. I've been here 10 years and some months. But there was an ordinance back in 1993. That's when the county was MBE and WBE. In case you didn't know it, Broward, Miami, and Palm Beach all used to be MBE and WBE, and they shared the region. They had reciprocity. That means if I'm in Broward, I was rocking and rolling with Palm Beach. If I'm in Palm Beach, I'm rocking and rolling with Broward as well as Miami. For a lot of different reasons, that went by the wayside, but that's what we all used to be. You can see through the chronology when the county actually removed the MWBE and they went with their CBE, but more importantly, before that, it was a CDBE, just creating a name. They really did that because they were challenged. This is a legitimate conversation right now being had with the advisory board. The idea that we might need to do a disparity study, not might, we need to eventually do a disparity study to come up with the data to demonstrate, or more importantly, to demonstrate where the money's going. And if the money's not equally or being dispersed in a fair manner, then it could dictate that the county must have a program that's more race and gender specific or conscious than the one we have right now, which is neutral. So this is the scenario that has us here. And in 2018, we added new things to the BOA. And in 2021, we got rid of that as amended by 2012 because the most recent amendment was happening in 2020. But just wanted you to see the history of where the county's been from 1993 to today, relevant to a small business program. Next slide. And did you know, and this is some of the things I was emphasizing earlier, it governs everything, certification eligibility. So if you ever thought about getting certified, The BOA says what the eligibility criteria are. The BOA says that if you decide that you wanted to go after a bid, how at the end of the day, primes could reach out to you, how they can ask you for LOIs, how that if they use your LOI, they got to work with you, how they might get multiple LOIs. Fine, you can be a group of LOIs, but whatever they present to the commission at the end of the day, if that's what's awarded, they must use you. How if we start with a goal and then a prime makes a commitment, he has to follow the commitment. How, whatever the percentage that he assigns you, along with the dollar value, he can't change that after he gets the award. See, it's a few things I'm going to say tonight to be real clear. This is not 1847, 1936, and 1948, even post Jim Crow. Folks cannot decide I'm going to use you to get something and then dump you when they get it. They can't. You can mess around and let them if you want, but they can't. My BOA says that they can't. So that's why we want folks to be armed with enough information that when someone is saying something to you that doesn't align with the BOA, you can always whip that document out. You can always call this office, but you can always whip that document off, the document out. And that last one, enforcement actions. We didn't have no teeth when I got here. In 2018, when we was making changes, I told the county, we need to put some teeth. At the end of the day, if someone's just going to choose to intentionally not follow the rules or find ways around the rules, then we need to be like all the rest of the county construction projects and other activities. I need to have liquidated damages and more. That became a part of the ordinance and the BOA in 2018. But see, I don't want to just lie or lay waiting on liquidated damages, which is why with your help, we do MURs, folks. When we have a contract with a prime that's 2, 3, 4 years, we don't wait to the end to find out that they didn't do it so that they can show me that they made good faith efforts. We check every single month, monthly utilization reports. We want you to tell us when you're not getting paid. We're going to do payment verifications, but prior to me making a payment verification and calling you, you can tell me after the first month, I did not get paid. All of this, I'm not making up, is written in the BOA, which means when the county's procurement and the user agencies are creating solicitations, if a project ends up with a CBE or SBE goal, everything that's aligned in the BOA must be in the solicitation language. This is why we tell primes, I didn't catch you off guard. You knew when you read the bid, it was a small business goal. You knew you had to work with my small businesses. Every solicitation, I tell them in advance, I'm gonna need a monthly utilization report. They know these things. So as a small business, it's just as important for you to know that they actually do know it. So if they end up saying something to you that does not align with the BOA, you don't need to clutch the pearls. You don't need to feel afraid. You don't need to wonder, well, maybe I shouldn't say nothing. You should scream because you now know on the record, the BOA, whenever the county establishes a small business goal, the BOA is mentioned in the actual solicitation. So any prime submitting a bid knew when they submitted the bid, I got to follow the rules of the Business Opportunity Act. That's the point that I'm trying to drum home to you tonight. It's not a surprise. And the more you know about the rules, which is the BOA, no one, including county staff, no one can pull the wool over your eyes. As long as you know it, you get to challenge, you get to question. And again, we are here specifically as your advocate for that. Next slide. So here's the program. And again, this program, just this chart that I use for every one of my workshops, folks, this is spelled out in the BOA. We don't want no one to get it mistaken. We want to make sure you know what an SBE is. We want to know what the personal net worth is. We want to make sure you know what the gross revenues are. This is just simply saying, these are the eligibilities that you need to meet in order to be an SBE or CBE. In case you're not certified, if the county provides or the county buys a good material, service, or product that you provide, and you want to consider doing business with government, you would end up doing my online application. And don't worry about SBE, CBE, based on everything you write. We'll end up telling you that you're an SBE, a CBE, or maybe both. But the point that this slide is here tonight is to let you know, this is the slide I use when I'm telling folks about getting certified. But the same information and the same definition that's on this slide is in the BOA. So that means when we're talking about an SBE sheltered market or CBE goal or CBE reserve, whatever the solicitation might say from purchasing, it's written in the solicitation from the actual BOA. Just another example I wanted to give tonight that exactly what we do to prepare small businesses to consider getting certified is the same definitions that we use if there's a solicitation going out for SBE or CBE. Next slide. And that's to let you know, it is an online application. So at any day you want it, you can go to our online application, read the application once. After you read it once, watch the video. It will speak to you like a fifth grader. Write your name, first name, last name, company's name, company's address. It'll ask you all the questions. If you're comfortable and you believe you meet the eligibility, fill it out and let's get you certified. If you're not comfortable, even after watching the video, you got every right to call and ask us a question and we'll help you through that process. But the process is online these days, guys. We make it easy. After you read it, you can also watch a video. If you still got questions, you can still call us. Next slide. Back to the know your rights. So this is what Shahiwa and I was originally talking about. It's a lot in the BOA, so I'm not going to act like it isn't. Actually, it's like 15 pages of information. But she and I was more interested in, Sandy, let's find some top 10s, top 12. You know, I ain't trying to be like my daddy and brother. I'm talking about the 10 commandments of being a CBE or the top 10 list of did you knows. We go figure this out because I'm going to do these boot camps. But right now, this is simply know your rights. So I'm taking some of those sweet spots of the BOA, and that's what I'm getting ready to share with you for about the next 10, 15 minutes. The prime is expected to meet his or her overall CBE. What am I really saying? We start out with goals. When a prime reads a solicitation, they would see the project, the user agency information, and it might say 25, 30, or 35% CBE goal. That means I've already worked with the agency. I've already looked in my directory, and I know I got enough businesses who can fulfill this opportunity. So any responder, any prime contractor who wants to respond back to the bid must at least meet my recommended goal. And in case you didn't know and you should know, when bids come back, I'm the second group who get to look at it. They come back to purchasing because I'm not purchasing. But purchasing must send all bids to me to do a compliance report. The bids that just came in, did they meet the minimum recommended goal? If they did, I say compliant. I say compliant. If they didn't, the ordinance says, hey, Sandy, call them, give them 3 days, let them know the goal was 30. You sent in 15. Do you need some help? Because you got 3 days to take your 15 to 30. So within the 3 days that they do it, I get to write compliance. If within the 3 days they don't, I get to write them as non-compliant. Non-compliance is the first start. I'm not purchasing. We're purchasing recognized. You done sent me something. Someone done responded. They're not meeting what's required by ordinance. So I'm saying file. Purchasing right then can begin based on responsibility. Kick them out. Sometimes they let them through, but they got to have a justification. The point is we get to see everything that comes in. The other main part about this is that the BOA, in terms of knowing your rights, that goes through the entire process for the bid all the way up to the award. And I'm trying to get the clarity together for these definitions. It starts as a goal. But if the prime during negotiation or during the submittal of the bid says that 30% goal, I'm going to commit to 40, let's be crystal clear. Then his or her LOIs, those letter of interest, the ones that's going to work with the small business, must total 40. If the county approves that commitment, see, it's not a goal no more. They now have to meet 40. For the duration of that project, they now have to meet 40. I recommended 30. So he really don't have to go beyond 30. But if you commit to 40, I get to hold you to 40 and I get to monitor for the 40. That's just more emphasis that they have to do what they say and we monitor what they commit to. Not my goal, but the good thing about that 2018 ordinance, I changed average to at least 25. So I want to be clear, this is something we're celebrating. When we used to try to do average when I first got here, we was around 11 or 13%. Because trying to average 25, you had high numbers, low numbers trying to average. You never got there. We asked the county, if you're serious about small business, remove average. Change the words to at least 25. Folks, since 2018, this office, along with all county agencies, start the goals at least 25. I'm getting ready to give them a report by the end of the year that because you did that at least 25, you're currently attaining over 31% small business utilization. So at the end of the day, in short terms, for all the things the counties are procuring, between all agencies total, at least 31% of that dollar is going to small business. That's the intent of the program, to drive it to be a larger dollar value. Other thing about Know Your Rights, guys, payments to CBEs. It's in the ordinance. It's in their contract. You need to start making sure that you put it in your contract with the primes. If the county say I'm paying the CBE, paying the prime net 30, the county's contract also says that a prime is entitled to 15 days max to then pay the CBEs. So I make sure my CBEs know on the front end. You need to be prepared for net 45. So that means that net 45 or net 46 in 2 hours, you need to be screaming if you're not getting paid. Don't have an issue with asking about your payment after professionally you done your job and you deserve to get paid. I'm sorry, there's no other way I can say that. The county has this agreement with these primes. These primes are responsible for following the contract. Primes have contracts with my subs, which are my CBEs, and they also have to be held to the contract. And sometimes my CBEs have direct contracts with the county, and my CBEs should hold my county. And I even tell primes these days, the last 4 years, primes, if the county's not paying you on time, you need to tell me. So I can scream at the county, because prime, if you don't get paid, you're not gonna pay my little guy. I'm interested in bottom line, the CBE getting paid on time. And to help that, the county just gave me a little seed money to create a mobilization fund. Since I know that it's net 45, and to be honest, sometimes net 45 is net 50, I want to make sure that we have money on the front end to help a small business as they start a contract. And nope, I don't need to get it back the first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, 6 months. We're going to work this out where you don't start paying it back to the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. We can do that. Why? Because we monitor your project every month. We the ones going to make sure you're getting paid every month. But if I can free you up with some upfront money, and if I could free you up with 6 to 7 payments where you can focus on your business and you can start paying me back on invoice 8, 9, 10, and 11, that helps you and it helps the county. Our job is sometimes to not just help businesses get business, but help businesses to scale and grow business. And one of the ways to scale and grow business is to have capacity. And in order to have capacity, you got to be scalable and you got to be bankable. So that's why we're doing that. So again, you're reading these others, that cute word at the bottom, good faith effort. They got to have calls. They have to send me a communication. They have to request, and they hate it. They have to request. I want to fire him tomorrow. Well, that ain't happening. Because according to the ordinance, you got to send me a letter telling me we want to fire. And I want to be clear. They do send me letters, but I'm honest with them. My staff's honest with them. Write everything in the letter, because whatever you give me, I'm going to give to my small business. And then I tell my small business, somebody wants to get rid of you. This is what they're saying. You need to respond to this. And I'm clear with my small businesses. You need to respond to this. And in addition to responding, anything else you need to tell me, you need to tell me. But be clear. Whatever you give me, I'm going to show to them. See, I let both of them tell the story. I share each other's story. And then by ordinance, by the Business Opportunity Act, I get to have a meeting. I get to facilitate a meeting. And based on what I heard, I get to make a decision. You're not firing them. You're not substituting them, or you can certainly substitute them, but you can't bring your cousin in. If I allow you to remove this one, you got to go get another one of my small businesses. Guys, that's the ordinance. The county is attempting to look out for our small businesses. At the end of the day, one of the things I do tell my small businesses, we use certifications as an opportunity to have pathways into these programs, and that's including the federal. But if you ever win a contract, remove the word small, because even I'm the economic development director as well. I'm expecting you to do business.
Right.
I'm expecting you to handle business. I'm expecting folks to do business with you and you do business with them. And that's why you got a right to ask for your money after you done provided a service without mumbling or whispering. This is business now. And the best thing I can do for a small business is to make sure that they recognize this business and help them to grow their business. Knowing your rights, these are other factors. You can go to the next slide of things that you need to know are written into the ordinance.
Sandy, before we go to the next slide, there was a question with regard to the payment. Prudent Bennett asks, would you send an email on day 46 or a direct phone call?
And you know what? This is the professional side. Every small business should be building a relationship. So if you got a direct contract with the county, be professional. Call them. Why would you not? On day 46, you should call them. Because when you send me an email, I want you to tell me, hey, Mr. McDonald, I'm past my net 45. I had a communication with them on the 46th. They told me I'm be paid by the 50th. It's now on the 51st. That's why you got this email. Or maybe you don't have that tolerance or patience. Business is business. You got every right to call them on the 46th. And based on that conversation, you should still just email me on the 46th. That's why I'm telling you guys, and be professional. But at the end of the day, with no exceptions, don't be waiting around 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 days and you haven't been paid and you haven't notified us. Now, that's the thing I need you to definitely do. So, nope, I'm not telling you to call me on day 46 in 2 hours. But if you need to, please do so. But if you're trying to build that relationship, yes, this is business. You need to check. Hey, you told me I was getting paid on this day. I didn't get the check. Just want to make sure that you know that I didn't know that I didn't get the check. Be as professional as you need to be, but don't carry that. I'm telling you, don't carry that no week, 10 days or 2 weeks. Don't. So you feel comfortable to work within your realm, but also know this. Since I'm speaking to an attorney who's facilitating this, that's what's in the writings, guys. That's in the contract. You get paid by the county net 30. You're expected to pay the small business net 15. See, that's 45. So no one should get mad if you send in a letter or call in on 46th day. Got no reason getting mad. The other things about the LOI, these letters of intent, these letters of interest that they must get, because they got to send it in with the bid. Remember I said the goal was 25. So when they submit the bid, they got to tell me who they using for the 25. Well, I'm going to use this firm, Sandy, for 10. I'm going to use this one for 10. I'm going to use this for 5. Okay, guess what? You need to get my small business signature. They need to know what percentage they are, and they need to know the dollar value for that percentage. Because if you make it through the award, they already know pre-contract what they're expected to get paid for the work they've already discussed with you. And the reason this is important, do not, because unfortunately, I got small businesses who told me they do it and almost had a heart attack. Do not give prime contractors blank LOIs. Do not sign your name saying, well, he go fill in the percentage and dollar value later. Read the bottom of that LOI. It tells you don't do it because this is the beginning of the formulating of your contract. So see, when you think you're talking to him about 20% of his 30, and, he's like, okay, man, you can work that out, just sign this LOI. And then all of a sudden you sign the LOI and you've been talking to him about 20, but when he submitted it, he wrote 5 and then he won the award. You can't talk to me about no 20. It's 5 on the form that you signed. And you can't tell me later, but I signed it because he was going to fill it in later. Oh, did you? You signed it, but he was going to fill it in later. Guys, this is just business, man. That's the thing. I'm not trying to make this larger than life. This is just basic business, and I'm using these, and I'm gonna use these as my examples, but I'm gonna change the name to protect the innocents. During boot camps, I got too many of these where my CBEs, and I'm talking about tenured CBEs, 10, 11 years, regular county contracts. They didn't slip up. They just wanted me to know. Well, we got a good relationship, so I just signed it and just let them fill it in. For real. LOIs are tied to the BOA, and the LOIs are tied to procurement code. So you need to make sure you know what percentage and what dollars they're discussing with you. And again, cone of silence was even changed. You can reach out to this office, to my supervisor, during a bid, when it's cone of silence. If you think something's fishy, or you just got a question, or even though they told you in the beginning of the bid, you read it, you can reach out to the project manager in purchasing, but you don't feel him or her. The commission now allows you to contact one person in my office. Knowing your rights is what I'm trying to get across, and everything is on this sheet that you're going to get, because you're going to get this PowerPoint. It's all written in the Business Opportunity Act. I'm celebrating the fact you graduate. Your personal net worth, you make more money than allowed, or your gross receipts is over the 5 million or 9 million over 3 years. Guess what? If you were on a contract when you graduate, I don't take no money out your pocket. You can continue that contract and still get paid as a CBE. If you was on a proposed project, hasn't been awarded, but you're listed. If it comes through, you still get to be counted as a CBE. We're not taking money out your pocket. But once you've graduated, from that day, you can't jump on nothing brand spanking new. Again, if your name's already out there, if you're already on a document, if you're already on a contract, keep it going. But from that day, you can't start new. All of that's written in the Business Opportunity Act. Next slide.
Hold on, Sandy. Sorry. I'm admitting people and unmute myself. With the cone of silence, some people know what that is. Some people may not know what that is, but I noticed on your slide, you say that they can contact, your business development supervisor.
Yeah.
Which is someone that's under you in your department, correct?
Right. It's only 2 supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever during cone of silence, that means when a bid is on the street. So guys, when they announce a bid, at that time, you can't talk to nobody else about that bid, including you can't call commissioners, you can't call me, you can't call the user agency, you can't call purchasing other than the designated person in purchasing, and now the one designated person in my office. And if you got concerns, questions, or issues, you can raise them with them, and they're allowed to go to the user agency, to go to purchasing, to go wherever they need to go to try to get you an answer to resolve an issue, to put it on the record. So that can happen now during cone of silence.
Okay. But there's still no contact with you. You won't be notified if there's an issue through one of the supervisors.
Yep. So this person has had these 2 people, even though I use them in order, Oswaldo Casco and Cheryl Roberts. They have been trained by the county, and they have been thoroughly trained by me of everything to do. And the reason why I want you guys to be careful about not reaching out to me or others, because it is a violation. You can be fined and removed, based on how egregious they think it was or your activities. They could even suspend you. You don't need none of those headaches. I'm so serious. If you got issues, concerns, or questions during the process, I do want you to call this office, tell it to Oswaldo, hear me. He has been told by me exactly what to do and how to process whatever your concerns are.
Okay. Thank you.
So know your responsibilities. That's all we've been talking about. Become familiar with the BOA. Review all the requirements. See, the other part about knowing your rights is some of the simplistic side. Review all the requirements of the bids and definitely of any contract you sign. Guys, make sure if you got a contract with a prime, you give us a copy. Guys, if you got a contract with a prime, make sure the language that the prime has in the contract with you speaks to my program. So I want you to be real clear on this point. The county's contract with the prime talks about my program, talks about my goal, tell them what they got to do. So it's no way if they're using you as one of my small businesses, they should have a contract with you that speaks against my ordinance, that speaks against the county's contract or the award. Their contract with you should be repeating the work they want from you, but on the grounds and the basis of the county's program. So you can't have someone with a county contract simply saying, I'm going to use small businesses for 30% of the work. I've identified 2 small businesses and they're 15% each. And that's their contract with the county. But then they go to my 2 small businesses where it's supposed to be 15 each. And they do a contract with my 2 small businesses, giving them 10 each. See that disconnect? You know what your LOI originally was. You know what the commission eventually approved. At the end of the day, you now know, in case you never knew, whatever was in the solicitation is the same language with my program included that's in their contract. So how dare them give you a contract less than the contract that they have with the county? So you can always ask for theirs. And definitely I want to see yours, because I want to make sure that their language is in that contract you're signing with them. Because in the end, guys, it is a contract. You mess around and sign a contract with a prime for less than what they were committed to with me, that's an entanglement. There's going to be some issues down the road. And we're going to fight on your side. But I'm also going to look at you and say, now, that goal said 30, and you're supposed to get 15. So tell me why you signed for 10 or 12. You know, so it's just too many. Don't rely on the BOA. That's what this night is about. I was going to say something different. That makes it easier. Rely on the BOA. Get an executed contract. It's 2023. So I won't lie. I haven't had none this year. But I need y'all to know 2021, 2022. Me and Shahiba laughed about this, but we weren't laughing. 2019, 2017. Y'all do know I had small businesses that had won contracts with these primes doing work without contracts. That smile and that handshake and that wink, and I got you. I have businesses with tenure. I'm screaming at one of mine right now. Been in the county forever. And you got a contract with a prime, and you're working for a prime with no contract. And then when something goes wrong, you're asking me, and I'm like, I need to see your contract. And that's the first time you tell me you don't have one. You don't have a leg to stand on. I can't even go fight for you. There's not a document that you executed with the firm you're working with on behalf of the county. And I have to do this in boot camp. 2023, folks, totally unacceptable. Me and anybody else, don't take my wink, wink, don't take my handshake, don't take my smile. You need pen and paper, you need ink. That's written for a reason. Totally unacceptable. Next slide.
Okay, we have a question from Sean Sandy, just asking what industries would be a prime example, or I guess an example of a prime, an industry that primes would operate in, which in essence is any industry.
Guys, across the board. Remember, the county's program is if the county procures a good material service, as we look at the dollar values from SBE versus CBE, everything, in case you didn't know right now, consulting. If you are a leadership development, peer development, consulting awareness kind of a person, even HR now on the record since 2021, have to make sure at least 25% of the consultants they use for county retreats, for aviation retreats, they have to use my small businesses. So if you're a consultant, come get certified, because 25% of whatever they do, we just did a workshop with them. They use one of my small businesses. I've been here for the first 8 years. There was always somebody from New Jersey. So it don't make a difference. If the county buys it, it's eligible via the ordinance. Yes, there's some things that we buy that I don't have no small businesses. Well, what I say to that is, I got this brochure talking about Broward is buying. That's the things where I have 3 or less. And I don't tell entrepreneurs, because I'm county, I can't advise you. I don't want you to go start a business. And when it don't work, then you want to sue the county. We're not accepting that liability. But I do share information of the things the county buys currently. And I have 3 or less firms. Wink, wink. Some of those items, I have absolutely no firms. So when an agency is buying something, and whether they're looking for a prime or directly from a small business, if I don't have anything to offer, that's called no goal. So to be real clear with whoever was asking the question, is everything the county does that if it fits that $250,000 or more, that's going to be a prime setting and sometimes CBE reserve. Under 250 is sheltered market. Any industry. So that's the answer. Any industry.
Thank you.
Next slide.
Question, Sean. So, okay, we have a graduation question. If you graduate from the CBE program and your contract is renewed, do you still get to continue?
Yes. Good question. If that contract is renewed, and that's the one you were on when you graduated, you get to stick and stay. Don't go away. You get to stick and stay. That's a beautiful thing. And we wrote that intentionally. Because again, we want you to get money as long as you can, but also in fairness to prime contractors. How disruptive. I'm working with the CBE. I like this CBE. The CBE rocking and rolling. And in the midst of our contract, the CBE graduated. First of all, we don't want to dump you. But second of all, now the contract's going to be extended for whatever reason. I want to still keep the CBE. Yes, Sandy got more and I should use more, but I love this one. We want to make sure that that CBE, as long as they are tied or attached to a contract, they can keep going. So if the county keep renewing it, or I get to say openly, I know this is being taped, if purchasing and the user agency forget to go out for bid and they got to do an extension month to month or another year and you done graduated, you get to ride that wave. As long as it's a part of that original contract, you're good to go.
Okay, just one other question, and we've talked about this a lot, Sandy. Professional services. So someone is asking, what does professional services mean? If you could
So what professional services really mean? And for county government, it's mostly for all of my major activity, but the front end. I do have architects. I got engineers. I got project managers. I got financial facilitators. The county does buy a lot on major construction trades. But the truth is, it's anything the county buys. So someone who's on the front end will simply say, hey, look, I'm an architect. And instead of y'all always giving your development to the big architects, some of the things y'all do, if you can carve out a goal for professional services, I can eat also. The county is finally starting that. I get to say it. 2 years ago, I couldn't say it. When we were proposing to do this joint government facility, we had actually carved out my first professional services. We had project management, we had architect and design, all on the front end. Well, if that project fell through, even though it's going to come back, it's just going to be Broward's government facility. We're no longer combining with Miami, and I'm still going to carve out. New example, Terminal 5. In case you missed it, and I hope you didn't miss it. Terminal 5, the professional services on design and project management, it's on the street with a 15% goal. So it became my first real professional services on the front end. We always got the electrical, the mechanical, the windows, the roofing, the brick, the floors, the painting. That's trade in most of my big activity. But we really haven't carved out real opportunities for that project management, for that architect, for that engineer. And we have those services right here in Broward. Now, it still takes a lot of work with my construction management division. I'm no engineer. It's just a certain way they like to do major projects. But we are asking, and they got a very good director now of Public Works, Trevor Fisher, who believes that we should be able to start carving out more. So professional services, we are trying to find more ways to make sure that you get in the game. The financial side, the accounting side, there's a lot of things defined as professional services. I can't normally say much about legal because the county has a law department that oversees everything. I can't say much on the professional side about realtors because we also have real properties. But I do tell lawyers and realtors, please pay attention to Broward County Transit. And as we start talking about building out rail, as we start talking about expanding the roads for this rapid transit, because the conversation in those oversight meetings are, they got enough money that when they have to start doing this land acquisition and this other stuff, they might just use outside counsel to do that and not the county's attorney's office. So for the first time in my 10 years, I'm starting to tell realtors and I'm starting to tell attorneys, pay attention to
Mhm.
Broward County Transit. Don't be shocked next year if you see some things going out and I'm screaming for the first time. I need some realtors to get certified. I need some attorneys to get certified. Or if not certified, just know that BCT is looking for local attorneys and local realtors. That is the ongoing conversation as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I remember speaking to the transportation director who retired. But anyway, about those realtor opportunities way back then he was trying to create. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead to the next slide. I've been
Yes.
questions in the chat, but go ahead.
So again, more of your know your responsibilities. Of course, guys, do the work you're contracted for. If it's not part of your contract, get it in writing. And some of you, and I love you, you're so excited to get this kind of contract. Now you're just ready to show them that you're a good worker. And every time you turn around, they tell me, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, and I need you to do this. And I will eventually do a change order. For real? That's not how the government works. Yeah, that's how that staff works, but that's not how government works. Don't do no extra work unless somebody's whipping out a change order. Now, don't get me wrong. Change orders might take a few days or a week to get signed, but don't do no extra work and ain't nobody ever mentioned a change order. So you need to get somebody at least on the record talking about, I need this additional work, and we're going to process a change order for you, not generically. See, even I would say that's good standings. But don't start no extra work and ain't nobody ever mentioned a change order. Respond to my request and our information. Because if I'm asking you something, it's for a reason. Understand the definitions. If we send an outreach and we say, hey, there's an SBE opportunity, you need to say to yourself, oh, that means there's a sheltered opportunity. This is under $250,000. According to the BOA, if he got at least 2 people, he can carve this out for small business. And technically, the small bid against the small and not the big boys. Learn what SBE and shelter market mean. Learn what a CBE reserve mean. The whole idea of knowing your responsibilities is when you hear words from us, or when you hear words thrown around in a procurement process, or when you hear words thrown around by a prime or a county agency, you should know what they're talking about in that regard. And the same holds true with the OESBD compliance specialist requesting this information. When we request it, sometimes you don't know, is to help you for something that we didn't realize that's getting ready to happen down the road. And again, I am your advocate. You can ask us all you need. And again, even with my staff, even us, don't do nothing blind. We call and ask you for something. I do need it. But you have every right to ask me, what is it for? You got a right to ask that other prime as well as the county. But even me, if I'm asking you for something and my staff needs something, if I'm doing a payment verification, you need to know I'm trying to check the overall MUR to see if this prime is paying you. I don't need a CBE playing a game. I need to know, did he pay you last month? Don't tell me he did, and the truth is he owed you 20 grand. He gave you 9, tell you he'll give you 11 later. Don't do that. I asked you, did he pay you? And that means he has to pay according to the form. And I get to say this. I'm going to say it at the boot camp. I'm going to change the names to protect the innocent. I got small businesses saying yes, knowing doggone well you either did not get paid or you didn't get the amount that was on the form. Guys, I can't help you if that's what you're honestly doing. Seriously. And again, this is not going back to Jim Crow and none of, hey, this is business. You get to hold us to what I say. You get to hold me to what I say. Hold the county responsible. And if we got county agencies, or if I got primes out here playing those kind of games, you got to tell us. But what you cannot be doing is telling me, yes, I got paid, and you really didn't get paid. That's it. I'm going to leave that one alone. But the last one, understand the types of the goals. You ain't got to learn them off the back of your hand. They're written in the BOA. Sheltered market, SBE. CBE goal, CBE reserve. You will learn the devil in the details of what the criteria, the eligibilities are, and what a prime must do if they're using one of those based on a commitment or a goal. Next slide. And again, I've already went over some of these. Please ask for help before it's too late. Don't tell me 6 months later you didn't get paid and I should have known that within the first 30 days. You know, recognize that I'm trying to say what we said earlier. This is about business. So you keep it and you make it business. Maintain your certification status. I just had to sign letters for the 100-day decertified. And I caught a name and I'm like, ain't no way I should be decertifying me. And my staff said, why? I said, because he got a doggone contract right now at the port. So unless he just don't want to be certified no more, why didn't he renew? Understand this. And I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I need you to renew timely. But I also need you to understand, without pimping me, don't pimp me. I don't dump you the first day you're done. I give you 2 30-day notices before your anniversary. Then I give you a 30-day notice after, a 60-day notice after, a 90-day notice after, and on the 120th day, I give you a day to let you know I'm taking you out the directory. On the record, you got 4 months to miss your anniversary. So I am disturbed when on that 5th and 6th month, you still ain't responded. Folks, I'm inking to decertify you. See, I know you're busy. That's why I don't decertify you on day 1 or day 30 or day 60 or day 90 after your anniversary date. But I have to maintain a program, so I got to get you certified. And let me be clear. See, that's my local rule. Folks, I don't have that leeway with my federal program. You got an anniversary date, you got 60 days to renew, or I got to dump you. See, because that's the federal program. I got to follow their rules. I'm giving you 120 to get your act together. Uncle Sam giving you 60. So again, we tell you this in the renewal documents. We tell you this in those letters we send to your last known address. That's why your certification packet says, if you ever change your address, tell us. I like your email, but when it's serious, I got to mail you so someone can sign for it. I need you to know that. Next slide. Oh, that's it. The rest of the slides is just telling you about us, guys. This is our office. We got economic development and trade, small business is what we focused on tonight. We got Film Lauderdale. We're trying to make sure that some of you and your day-to-day work can transfer over into film. So film incentives, just like small business, I'm making them use small businesses. I'm making them use Broward businesses. I'm making them use Broward residents. I'm making them use college students. To get this film money, you got to use our businesses. So that's happening. And community relations outreach is one of the reasons I'm here tonight. We try to make sure we can share information as many places as possible. And you might say, why? In case you didn't know, you in a 1,300 square mile county with 31 municipalities, approximately 2 million residents, and over 85,000 registered businesses. So there's no way me and 31 staff is going to get to everyone. So we need all of the chambers. I need all 31 municipalities. I need economic development organizations. I need homeowners organizations. I need entrepreneurship programs. That's why I said earlier, you got a group of 3, 4, 5. We will come and talk about our program and share information about how small businesses can get engaged if they choose. I don't force nobody to do business with government. But if you choose, our job is to make sure there's a clear pathway. Next slide. And again, small business is what we talked about. So understand, we're about technical assistance. We're about certification. We're about goal setting. We get to look at everything and establish a goal if it's available. Broward Liaison is our board. We have an advisory board. And that's where you can always come and air your information, share your information, get a recommendation. Wink, wink. I'm saying to the vice chair now, or maybe she's chair now, of the advisory board, that I'm in agreement, and one of my commissioners in agreement, that sheltered market that's been hovering around 250 should probably move to 500,000. Had that conversation today. Take that to your advisory board and just tell them to approve it and send that letter on up. Don't even need to go by me. Just send it on up. But great suggestion. And that's something we really should move on. And it was just brought to my attention today. And from that person, I had heard it, but that's an action item we should jump on. Pre-biz meetings and meet and greets, we try to make sure we can expose our small businesses. 3 things. I need them to know the program. We try to teach you the process of doing business with the government. And then we want to try to make sure you meet the right people. Program process people, that's our program. And contract monitoring for resolution, that's our day job. We look at MURs, monthly utilization reports, because we want to know, are you using my small business? Are you paying my small business? Because if you use and pay them, that means I'm going to meet my goal. And we don't wait to the end. We do that as a part of the process monthly. Next slide. More information about Film Lauderdale. If you haven't checked out our website, just Google film at filmlauderdale.org and see our website one day, and you'll see our new incentives in case some of you are artistry or you know folks who are artistry. But remember, anybody want to get money from us to bring films here, we certainly don't mind giving the money, but you got to use my people. But all that's on my Film Lauderdale site. Next slide. Community relation outreach, we already talked about them. This is what they do. All the programs, the workshops, the technical assistance, educational programs, that Broward and Beyond Business Conference we do every year at the Signature Grand. Next year, we'll do it at the Convention Center in May because the Signature Grand is going through major renovations. So catch us in May, I think it's May 4th, for the BBB conference. Next slide. Dang, I went 7 minutes too long. We here, guys, at the Q&A if you got more Q&A. But seriously, you all can still email me after tonight, and you can also call and set an appointment if you need, because some of your situations or questions might be specific and relevant to you. But I'm still here to answer any as long as we need tonight.
This was great, Sandy. Got a lot of comments and questions in the chat, some of which I answered, just asking what CBE means, et cetera, different things. And just encourage Sean to go ahead and reach out to you and set up a meeting. He's talking about, he's certified, he's in waste management and interested in some, contracts. So I told him to go ahead and I dropped your information in the chat.
Yeah, he should, because A, that's a big conversation with the county. But B, I got here in 2013. In 2012, there's only a few things that the state lets us control. And waste management wasn't one of them. Broward used to control it for the whole county, recycling everything. Then some of the cities realized I can make money. So they broke off and started doing their own thing. A whole bunch of them started doing their own thing. And now they realize, it's costing me too much to do my own thing. So now everybody's talking about it again. So as the county's looking at how we do this with you, that's a major conversation. But I don't mind sharing with you the agency and the people you need to speak about, because before it actually gets done, and they don't need to fake it. One of the only world 3-time Fortune 500 companies is our partner. The dad is dead, but the son still is with us. Wayne Hazaga, AutoNation, Blockbuster, Waste Management. So when the county ends up doing this again, A, there'll probably be no goal. B, is going to be huge. However, if you understood the situation today, for about the next 5 to 7, and you're in waste management to any degree, you want to understand these small cities and what they're trying to accomplish, and who they're currently looking for. Now, you can also look at some major county projects. So again, you told Sean to email me or to call, set up a meeting, and I'll give you all the information I have and put you in touch with our folks who runs waste management for the county.
Thank you. And just want to say this, Sandy, because, we've talked about this, you hear all about this infrastructure dollars and transportation dollars. So we do have a comment, though, from H.L. Young. Great information. Looking forward to more upcoming transportation-related project opportunities. And obviously, we have that transportation surtax with some of those, a lot of money around that opportunity. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. And
let me speak to that. First of all, if you don't get my email, Shahi, we'll go to the next slide. Let me see if the staff hooked us up or something.
Okay.
If you don't get the Wednesday night newsletter, go another one. That's Anchor Lines, the important to bingo.
Okay.
If you're not getting that weekly newsletter, you need to get that weekly newsletter. Why? Because one of the specific things I put in that newsletter, forget me, you ain't got to read the director's comments. You ain't got to read what I think is cute little quotes. Forget all that. There's a page that's called Hot Tips. So understand this. Infrastructure is real, whether people are paying attention to it or not. And I'm not even talking about the federal dollars. I'm talking about the counties. When an agency, for the first time, cities, if they touch this money, they got to use my small businesses. Cities don't have to use my small businesses unless they touch this surtax money. So if the city you in or the city you drive by, and you can go to the MAP Broward Mobility Advancement Program, Broward site, and see every project that's not only been approved, the money that's allocated. You can begin to read the scopes. That's my newsletter, Hot Tips. Town of Davie, $4 million roadway project. I write all the scope that's given to me. I tell you in advance it's $4 million. I tell you that I just placed a 30% goal. I stick that in a Wednesday night newsletter. That means you have 5 weeks, as much as 2 months, to start doing your homework before that bid ever hits the street. Yep, this is one of those examples, especially this surtax money. If the first time you hear about a bid when it comes out on the bid platform, you late. Because definitely city and county, I'm telling that story every Wednesday night. But if you pay attention to the website, whether you go to the MAP Broward or the Penny for Transportation, which was the original name, or whether you go to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, all of them have the projects that's been currently approved and the money allocated. The only thing none of us know is when the cities are going to put it out for bid. But the tip is, once they're all approved and the city sends it to me for review, I know once I review it, it leaves me and the city gives it to MAP admin and MAP legal. They make sure that the project proposed is legal and it fits within the criteria. Then once they approve 2 to 3 weeks, they send it back to the city. And now the city's aware that they have a project that they had proposed that's eligible and will have a small business goal. So now all the city has to do, if they didn't do it in the interim, is prepare their solicitation and put it on the street. But be crystal clear and try me tomorrow, whether you can get that QR code or not, send me an email. I'll make my staff add you tomorrow and you'll get the newsletter tomorrow night. Look at hot tips and read it, understanding that I just told you what I read from county agencies or cities that eventually would be on the street. I even got the list. See, there's no need of following Broward County's procurement on Periscope if I told you it's the town of Davie. You need to follow the town of Davie's bid platform. But I ain't gonna make you search. I got a list that'll tell you all the municipalities and their bid platforms and their purchasing contact. I'm giving information early so you can do your homework. Another tip that I got to give as a good example, there's a current solicitation on the street for this surtax money for a consultant for a corridor study, about $17 million. Oh, this is one for rail. Many of my small businesses will read that and say, oh, that's for rail, I'm gonna leave it alone. You're wrong. I got a $17 million for a study about rail. What you missed is a study about rail. And if it's a study about rail, somebody got to submit a report. So the rail technician knows what he or she needs to know from planning and about rail. But that report, the videography, the photography, the community relations outreach, the public relations, some of the topographical engineering, all those other subcontracting opportunities is why that same 17 million got a 30% goal. So I need my small businesses to pay attention. You might not see your name or your industry screaming in the title. But if you ever see a goal, you got to go deep, because that means I've already looked at what the other opportunities are, and they don't have to directly be related to the title. So I don't want you to miss those opportunities, which is another reason why I do hot tips. Because hot tips in the newsletter, at least I break it down to make sure you don't miss it. So infrastructure is real. We collected $355 million a year, every year for 30 years. That's $16.7 billion. And the budget director said the last 2 years I collected over $400 million. We know we won't set a goal on everything because the county does buy electric buses. And there's no small businesses in Broward or the country that manufactures USDOT electric buses. And there's no small business in Broward or the country that USDOT lets sell electric buses. So just as one of the examples, every time they say buy buses, I have no goal. But everything else we believe for that $355 million, that half of it, I can always set a goal. That's why we believe we're carving out $53 million a year in small business opportunities based on all the other projects, minus buying a bus. So again, we're going to keep you informed. Corey, our new transportation director, she got a hot and sexy video now talking about Primo. 200 miles of new rail and road that's coming to Broward. All of that's there. And yes, I do need to say this. And for all the things that we even do, yeah, guys, it really is some homework. I mean, you decide to go into business, just like you do in private industry. Sometimes you really got to go do some research about your client, about the project, about the opportunity before you eventually meet someone and respond to a bid. But I'm going to give you as much as I can. But yes, there is some real homework. But no, you should not let the county get away with carving out $53 million a year, every year for 30 years, and it's 26 more years to go, and that's a short side of 1.7 billion. You shouldn't let the county get away with some stranger getting that money or this office not setting goals. And it would be a travesty. It'd be worse than a travesty because we're talking about leveraging money. That after 30 years, if the county has 16.7 billion and they took some federal infrastructure, they took some gas tax, they took some state money, and the 16.7 ended up being 25 billion, it would be a travesty if we haven't made some real millionaires and multimillionaires out of small Black women, minority businesses in this county. You cannot let a county create this kind of tax base and folks in this county not get paid. We're unapologetic about it. The commission, hear me say it on a regular. At the end of the day, all this slides, that BOA, this is about making money. This is about businesses getting paid, about commissioners not worrying about somebody else's pocketbook. Small businesses need to get in this game. Our job is to show the pathway and to make sure that they're supported in this game. But guys and girls, this is about making money, and you happen to be in a county who got access to some money, and you happen to be in a county who happens to have an ordinance. See my friends to the north? It's a wish. They're small business. I love the people working up there, but she hates it because it's not a requirement. Your program is a requirement, ain't an option. It's a requirement. We can certainly do better working with you to enforce it, creating more opportunities. But I tell folks, go get what's yours because it's been established. So that'll be my 2 cents.
Thank you, Sandy. We're not going to keep you longer. This is, I know you have a long day. You start early. We had a question about the advisory board meeting. I answered that. They're open to the public.
Yes.
Put the date in the chat. And so, obviously if we have a quorum, we'll meet. I'll see. I asked Cheryl about it. I'll see if we have a quorum. And then, Joanne asks, is shredding considered a part of waste management? And then when should we expect the change to bonfire from Periscope for submissions was Dr. Toomer's question. And then that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up.
So shredding is not a part of waste management. However, the county does have contracts for shredding, and certain businesses also have set-aside contracts for shredding. So a question like that, if you send me an email, I can send that to the necessary purchasing agent, and they'll tell us all the processes for who does the shredding, because the big truck comes outside the garage where I park at, or, like every 3 months. But I also have seen the smaller vans coming that do the different individual agencies. So I don't know all the Dublin details, but I can certainly help you find that out real easy when it comes to that.
Okay.
And what was the other?
When should we expect the change to?
Oh, yes. So there will be an announcement at the commission meeting in December, but January or February, there'll be a promotional announcement talking about how we're going to eventually leave Periscope, formerly known as BitSync, and we're going over to Bonfire. But own this and know this. No matter what the county's procurement office, and we are part of those meetings every other week, and we understand in January they're going to become weekly. So we are part of the process. But we've already committed, just like we did when we went to Periscope. We will make sure there's extensive and extra training for our small businesses, even after the county done did what they did and the county's in agreement with it. So expect an announcement in December, but expect a formal promotion about Bonfire and all of its benefits and the transition and the business flow plan of when we'll cross over at the end of the summer of next year. That announcement will happen January or February of next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandy, for, taking this time out in the evening after your work day to come hang out with us and really share this really valuable information. I wanted to have this session because it's important, although you're not going over every little detail. There are some sticking points and things that we see kind of continually brought up with regard to that Business Opportunity Act. And also it's important for people to know that there is somewhere to turn, even in the middle of active procurement, even if the cone of silence is on, and that they do have your office to turn to if they're having issues with the prime, et cetera. It's important for people to know that. I think we also, Sandy, had some people who may be getting certified from this.
Okay.
Maybe aren't certified already. So I've fielded those questions as well, but just wanted to thank you again for your partnership and for your willingness since the inception of the Chamber to work with us and get more of our Black businesses signed up for these programs and getting contracts with the county. So thank you once again.
Absolutely. Guys, you need to challenge me on that one-on-one. And again, even in the one-on-one, I won't advise you, but I am here to make sure based on your business and your model, if it fits the county, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you other paths. If it don't fit the county, I'm also going to tell you, because ain't no need of me wasting your time. But if there's information I got that you can use elsewhere, use it. But I am here to make sure that if you're doing something that the county's buying, you need to really understand our processes and get in this game.
No, absolutely. So thank you once again. Thank you everybody for coming out. This week has been so crazy. I don't even know what day it is on this Tuesday evening. And I hope enjoy the rest of your week. We still have some really great programming, even as we wind down for the year. We have the USDA, FDIC, and the SBA coming to Fort Lauderdale to talk about all the different programs they have going on. That's next week, November 16th at the African American Research Library, and we'll be going from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come on out. You can meet Sandy and a whole bunch of other folks who administer these types of programs on a federal level as well as a local level. And the Chamber will host its celebration luncheon to close out the year on December 7th. So just make sure you follow us on social and hit us up on our website so that you know what's going on at all times. Thank you to everyone for coming on out, and have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you at the next event. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.